This is the Gen Y Leaders Podcast. Welcome to the Gen Y Leaders Podcast, where we guide millennials to become the next generation of business leaders and entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Eric Huey, and multiple times a month, we bring you interviews from high-performing millennials who are challenging perceptions and changing expectations of our generation. Our mission is to help you overcome fear, take action, and go confidently in the direction of your dreams. It's time to start preparing now, mainly because 10,000 baby boomers are retiring every day, which will create a vacuum of career opportunities that you've been waiting for. Will you be ready? Ryan, welcome to the Gen Y Leaders Podcast.
Eric, super excited to be here. Thank you for having me on. Excited to just share my story with your community.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for your time. You got a lot of good stories, a lot of stuff going on. So I think our community will definitely benefit from it. To start off, it's pretty easy. Just tell the viewers who you are and what you do.
Sure. So my name is Ryan Mason. I am actually the CEO and founder of two companies. The first company is called Luxe Brand, and we are the leading branded provider of luxury leather shoelaces in the U.S. So we make really cool leather shoelaces, mainly made from Italian lambskin and sometimes other exotic leathers. But basically, we provide a way for you guys to actually style your shoes in the way that you want to. The next company is called BizBuzz Digital, and basically we provide marketing, management, and automation software and services for small to medium-sized businesses. So basically what this looks like is we've taken the core functions, the core functionality that it takes to actually run a business on the marketing side, and we basically provide software so that you can manage your listings, your reputation, your social, your website, and also your advertising all through one platform.
That's a beautiful thing. So you're helping people with their fashion and their business all at the same time.
Right. Quite different.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a different breed, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Covering all the markets. So on that note, you're obviously an owner of two companies. What's your why? Why pursue entrepreneurship and these big endeavors?
I think the biggest thing for me is I really want to inspire the future business leaders of tomorrow. That if I can say, 20, 30 years from now, and I look back on my life, I want to say that I've been able to actually really impact people and inspire them to go out, create, think big, and just make something happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome mission. I think we could talk for hours on that because that's a huge kind of foundational pillar of why I started this podcast. So I admire you and respect you for doing that. You've also got a lot of attention nationally. Recently got a Yahoo top 12 entrepreneur, correct?
Right.
And a Fox News recognition as well for entrepreneurship. Talk
Correct.
a little bit about those, how those recognitions came to be and how this played out.
Yeah, it's so funny because, COVID has been very, very challenging for a lot of us. And I remember at the beginning of COVID, just looking around and just saying, oh my goodness, so much is happening. Businesses are, just struggling, and there's a lot of things that we literally could never predict. And for me, this was something that I was also dealing with, for myself. So basically, one of the biggest things is I think it allowed me to really get my head down. It allowed me to really focus, allowed me to really be strategic. I think in life we run so much and we're so used to just running every single day. And I think COVID has provided us the opportunity to take a step back and figure out what the next big thing is for our business and also within our life. So for me, that is what I did. And, ultimately, I've been fortunate enough to get that recognition. And yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but hey, I'm super, super blessed and thankful for it.
Yeah, congrats again on those. I'm curious, is there an application process to that? And then, after the fact, after you get the nomination, is there any, regulations or things you have to abide by for a certain amount of time for, being in the spotlight?
Right. So I haven't experienced an application for it. It's really quite ironic. A friend of mine actually wrote to me a couple of weeks ago, and basically he said, Ryan, can you send me over a headshot and a bio? And for me, it was one of those days where I was just so busy. I literally just grabbed a folder, like with the spur of the moment, sent it over to him, and didn't think anything else about it. Few days after that, he wrote me again on Instagram, and he said, it's about to drop. And for that, I was like, well, I know it's going to be something amazing that you are about to drop. I can't wait to see what it is. And he said, no, it's not you. I mean, it's not me, it's you, right?
Oh, wow.
So then it dropped, and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. Like I'm just so thankful. And honestly, it hasn't really been an application process. I think one thing has led to the other, and now, I'm actually filtering out so many different people, just reaching out, just trying to, highlight my story, highlight my life, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats again. I think what a good topic for today is this idea of picking a niche. You've obviously had some success with this going to shoelaces. So I guess talk a little bit more about Luxe Brand and how and why you started it.
So it's a funny story. It was actually a means to an end for me.
Yeah.
I was going through a period where I had went to college. I was playing college football. I was on full scholarship. And unlike most people, it felt like it was an absolute burden. I literally felt like every ounce of energy and time and focus was spent doing something that I had lost love for. One of my biggest dreams was to follow my father's footsteps and play professional football. Wow. And for me, at that period, about 3 years into my college career, I basically said, hey, maybe I should consider moving in a different direction. And of course, after tremendous pressure from me thinking that I was going to be disowned by not only my family, but people were going to look at me as a failure, I had to do a lot of soul searching. And from there, basically, I needed something to really, really push me. And I also needed something to literally go and take to my parents so that it didn't seem like I was too crazy and ungrateful for leaving a full scholarship. And that was shoelaces.
And how'd they react to that?
Oh, it was tough.
Yeah.
It took some months. So over the course of the next, 6 months to a year, I had to really, really, like plead my case to them on several occasions. For me, my father, my conversation with him happened months down the road. Like it was at the very end because I just knew he was going to look at me and he was going to say something. I knew it was going to cut my soul deep, and I probably was going to go back in the room and cry, But basically, I started off with my mom. I started off, I decided to actually go and speak with her, and she listened to everything that I had to say, and she said, Ryan, you have absolutely lost your mind. And I didn't understand then why she would say something so mean to me.
Right.
But later on, I realized I knew why. My mom, and our parents are like that. They want us to be safe, and they want us to not have to go through things. And I realized later on that she had been dealing with my father, my grandfather, which was her dad, her brother, which was my uncle, and my grandfather's 5 brothers, which all, they all actually owned local businesses.
Wow.
So she knew, and she felt it every single time they had troubles and they went through struggles within their local business. She knew it. She saw it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So she didn't want me as being her child to go through that. And it took some time for me to understand that. But next I went to my grandfather, who was her father, who was a local business owner. And I think he saw the same thing. Yeah. He said, man, it's, I think in his head now that I can actually, I'm on the other side and I've started and I've been in business for a couple of years. I think he was thinking the same thing. So basically from there, I was actually able to go to my father months later. I mean, it probably was maybe about 8 to 9 months or 8 to 10 months later. And after I had talked to so many people, not just in my family, but also outside of my family, professors, strangers, to see if I was crazy or not, he actually sat me down and he literally said one thing. He said, Ryan, I support you and I believe you and whatever you do.
That's
And
awesome.
basically from there, I had confirmation that it was time for me to actually leave the full scholarship and pursue my dream and also follow my heart.
Yeah, what a blessing, man, to have support from
Absolutely.
your family. I know a lot of entrepreneurs encounter that to where there's conflict in the family, or even just
Yes.
small circles of influence that say, like you said, you're crazy for doing this and leaving a
Yeah.
good thing on the table. But if your heart calls you to do it, you got to pursue it, right?
You know what? You're only crazy until you do it.
Yep,
Because when you do it, oh my goodness, there's a lot to come.
without a doubt. That's a phrase to live by, certainly. So let's talk a little bit more about the business structure and landing on the project of shoelaces. I think a lot of people who would be in fashion would, if they're going to go e-commerce route, would start off saying, "Hey, I'm going to make a fashion website or men's clothing line, something like
Right.
that, or even just a line of shoes." How'd you get to the idea of niching down further and further to shoelaces,
Mhm.
and not only that, but being I guess profitable with shoelaces and building a whole business on it?
Right, right. For me, basically, I wanted to get started in the shoe industry. I thought that this was something that I could do that wouldn't require a ton of resources and time. I
Mhm.
already had felt like I was very artistic, very creative, and very hands on. So, with that being said, I decided that I was going to actually go back home on one of the Christmas breaks because obviously I didn't have a lot of other time, otherwise.
Mhm.
So basically, I went back home and I started to, think about it. It's like, well, I don't want to draw on shoes because everyone's doing that.
Yeah.
It's not, it's that's not as unique.
Mhm.
So for me, and I realized this was something that I developed along the way just by observing business around me. I was like, well, how can I make this shoe? Like, how can I change the shoe? What's something on this shoe that hasn't been changed? And I did my research and I found a guy who basically would take apart shoes. He would cut it with blades and knives and he would literally create his own shoe.
Wow.
And he would basically replace it with exotic leathers and suede and python and basically mark the price of the original shoe up by maybe, I mean, it was insane amounts. We were going for, it was starting out at maybe $100 a pair, and he was reselling for like 1,500. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is maybe I can do this,
Right.
right? I'll
That's
be doing great if I can do this in college. Well, after trial and error, I realized that I didn't have the resources. I also could not go and spend time in a class to learn how to recreate a shoe entirely on my own. And I didn't have the finances. And also, I was still in school, I was still a college student.
yeah.
So that was kind of out the window. And in the midst of me actually cutting up old shoes that I had, I remember it was an Air Force One, and my brother was looking at me like I had lost my mind while he was playing the video game.
Yeah.
Basically, in the midst of that, I realized, wow, how come shoelaces are not made appealing?
Yeah.
How come people literally they're satisfied with the bootlaces that are in, work boots or Docker shoes that can't easily be tied and they're basically the same everywhere you go, right?
Yep.
So for me, I was like, well, why can't I actually figure out a way to bring exotic leathers into the game and
Mhm.
basically craft a flat lace that basically can be tied like a regular lace, but also be colored and changed and manipulated so that basically it gives someone the sense of expressing their fashion. So basically what happened after that, I quickly decided I need to do more research because this is completely new.
Yeah.
And that kind of led me to actually realizing that, hey, this is an opportunity for me to really, really increase the value of a shoe.
Definitely.
And it was an opportunity also for, customers to actually style it the way that they want to, because we know you may get a new pair of shoes and then it's like a new car. You get a new pair of shoes and then next thing you know, everyone else has those same shoes,
Yeah.
right?
Talk about,
So
a little bit after that experience, as far as maybe your first market echo or positive feedback loop, I'll call it, as far as, you sold them. What does that look like? Did you have the shoelaces up on an e-commerce site and that was your first purchase, or was it kind of like word of mouth through friends and family? What did that look like?
So it was actually a lot of word of mouth first.
Hmm.
So before I put a website up, I was actually just doing product research.
Yeah.
So of course, then I didn't know what product research really was, but
Yeah.
now I do. But
Yeah, right.
basically, it would literally be me just taking this everywhere I was going, getting people's opinions, asking people's feedback. I was doing, R&D. I was leaving them in the car in the hot sun, trying to figure out, hey, well, if I do sell this, will it last? Will it
Yeah.
work? What are the conditions that I need to really be aware of and thinking about when selling this lace? So after doing that so much, people actually started to say, wow, this is crazy. This is really unique. Can I get a pair? Even if they were older, they were like, wow, can I get a pair? This is, for themselves, but also their kids. And from there, I decided, of course, to go ahead and create a website. And I'm thinking about the first website that we created. Oh my goodness.
Learn by
Yeah.
trial and error, right?
Right. Trial and error. Hey, I learned a lot since then, right? But basically, we put it up on this website, and of course, we started to take online orders. So that was the general plan. We got feedback. We figured out what our customers liked, what they didn't like, what was important to them, and what wasn't important. And then from there, we were actually able to create an MVP, right? So basically, that's a minimum viable product that was actually functioning and they could actually use it and actually purchase.
Yeah, that MVP point I think is huge for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially if they are, I think, more type A perfectionists, if you'll call it that. And people tend to sit on their hands too long on an idea or a service idea. So yeah, MVP is definitely a great thing to get out there. And like we talked about earlier, I mean, you learn by trial and error. So if if it needs improvement, and you tweak it and keep moving.
Right.
So I guess in a broad sense, maybe to kind of sum up, how has niching down and going specific benefited you as a business owner versus taking a broad category?
It's benefited me in the fact that it allows me to move faster, right? When you niche down and you really understand the market and what you're selling, what your product is, it allows you to move faster, capture a broader market, and also it allows you to actually just stand out and be unique amongst so many different products and services that are offered. So for me, it has allowed me to really go fast and be very strategic about what I was going to do.
Well said. A couple bookend questions that I always close out every show with. I'm about to hit you with here. One, I'm really trying to foster community with this podcast. So one, I wanted to ask, is there a business ask that you have as far as, you want to connect with someone in a certain industry, or you have a question about, running your books a certain way, really anything under the sun that you're curious about or, top of mind for you?
Absolutely. I think I got two asks, if that's okay.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, that's what it's for.
Two separate companies, right?
Yeah.
So the business ask for Luxe Brand is we really want to make sure that we are being impactful. Okay. So it's not all about selling laces. It's about also bringing awareness to causes that are happening in today's time. Okay. So if there is anyone who has a connection of somebody, some figure of influence who is leading up an awareness campaign about a certain cause, a certain illness, a certain issue that we can help bring awareness to, we would love to figure out who that is so that we can partner with them. And the second ask is for BizBuzz. One thing that we really want to do is we want to basically impact 100,000 local and small businesses. Okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
Big goal, right?
Yeah.
But we need you guys, and we understand right now during COVID, it has been very challenging, and we want to make sure that we are giving as much value as possible. So we do have some free tools, and feel free to take advantage of those. So I just ask you guys to consider it, look at it, figure out, if it can benefit you guys, and hopefully it's a good fit.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks for that. And then what books, people, or resources have made an impact as you've grown as an entrepreneur?
Right. Gary Vee is one of my favorites. Gary Vee, I really, there's a couple of nuggets that I've learned from him. And one of the biggest things is just understanding, there is more to life than business as well. So family, making sure that you are spending time with your loved ones, but also making sure that you're happy. it doesn't matter how successful you become. If you are not happy and you are not living, an empathetic life, then you aren't doing much, right? So I think that is one of the biggest takeaways that I've gotten from him. But also in terms of a book, I am actually releasing a book called The Digital Playbook. All the strategies that I've learned and implemented for Luxe Brand that has helped us land on Good Morning America and NFL Network, Foot Locker stores, and 30 to 40 different athletes and celebrities, but also the 250 plus clients that we have within our software and services. I've brain dumped all of the strategies into this book. So it's basically going to go through 6 phases. It's going to teach you step by step on what you can do to be successful through digital marketing.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for the plug. And I'd love to have you on sometime to do a book breakdown. Some of our regular listeners are familiar with those, but that'd be a great opportunity to further elaborate on what you talked about.
Would love to come back.
Awesome. On that note, where can people best get in contact with you if they want business, personal advice, or get a copy of your book?
Yeah, so you can actually, there's a couple of sites. Luxe Brand is LUXE-brand, BRAND.com, okay? And if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to ryandmason.com, and there's a few things that you can do when you get there. You can actually book me to work with you directly, or you can scroll down about halfway through the page and purchase the book, the digital playbook. And then also you can go to Get Started for Free, which will take you down to my BizBuzz digital website. So it's going to be bizbuzzdigital.com, BIZBUZZDIGITAL.com, where you can actually get started for free with our marketing software and tools.
Fantastic. Ryan, thanks so much for your time. Look forward to seeing your continued growth, seeing you on more Good Morning America and NFL Network episodes and whatnot. And cheers to your continued success.
Thank you so much, Eric.
That wraps up today's episode. We hope to have brought you some valuable key takeaways. Most importantly, whatever you learned, take action on it. Apply it to your life. Apply it to your career. Motivation and inspiration only come as a result of taking that first step. So if you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe on whichever platform you found the show. You can also follow us on all the major social media platforms or contact us directly at genwhyleaders@gmail.com. That's GENWHY leaders@gmail.com. Until next time, I'm Eric Huey, and thanks for listening to the Gen Y Leaders Podcast.